loving, determined, frugal, dedicated, respectful, humble, legacy. These are just a few words that describe the Allen family. Their story began many years ago when Paul Allen, a student at University of Nebraska in Lincoln, met freshman Joan Webster at an event where Paul was her server.
I was in a fraternity, and a bunch of us guys were busboys. We waited on tables, carrying food to the girls. Turned out she was at my table. And so I was waiting on her, and you know what's coming next, don't you? I've been waiting on her ever since.
In the beginning, dating wasn't always easy for the Allen men.
He called me for a date. Well, this is Paul Allen. And I said, who? And he said, Paul Allen. Don't you know who Paul Allen is? I suppose that caught my attention right there.
We had a class together at Oklahoma State, but we didn't know each other. And a friend of mine came to me and said, there's this guy, his name is Mark Allen. Should I tell this story?
Go ahead.
Okay. And she said, he needs a date to the to the formal. And so he wanted to know if you would go. So I told him I'd ask you. She said, but if I were you, I wouldn't go. It's not a good idea. And I said, oh, okay, well, why not? Because he's kind of wild, and I just think he might drive you crazy. And I said, well, then I'm not interested. Tell him I don't want to go.
But some things are worth waiting for.
We had our first date on January 13th, 1956. And on January 14th, 1956, was the last time I had a date with anybody else.
Did I make that a recommendation, or did you just...
You were so neat, it wasn't any need to look around anymore.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd say that.
We got married August the 18th, 1957. And 10 months and 2 days later, we had Mark. And then we had one every 2 years. They were all almost exactly 2 years apart.
After we had graduated from Oklahoma State, we were both working in Oklahoma City. And as it turned out, Jennifer's roommate was dating my best friend from high school. This friend thought a little higher of me than the other friend.
I just grown up. Got engaged 6 months later, and probably to our parents' dismay, I'd probably have a heart attack if my kids did that. Don't do that.
Paul and Joan settled in Fremont, Nebraska, where Paul started his first job for Hormel Food Company. 2 years later, he was transferred to Austin, Minnesota, and then in 1967, the family moved to Oklahoma City for Paul's new job as a manager in a patty-making plant. Joan then earned a master's degree in dietary nutrition management at Oklahoma State University as a part-time student and mother.
The fact is, my mom is really bright. She knocked that out in probably 3 or 4 years part-time because of kids in the drive.
Ready to start something of their own, Paul and a business partner bought a small meat company in Enid, Oklahoma.
The summer of 1973, we purchased a little business up here in Enid and started the Advanced Food Company then.
We moved here on this entrepreneurial project, and there was literally no income coming in from that for a period of time. This move was a big risk. My parents borrowed the Colwell's white pickup truck, and we would spend the weekend making multiple trips from Oklahoma City to Enid in that pickup, and we would take whatever things my parents said we would take or should take in this next haul, and we would put them in the back of that pickup truck. And then Mark and David and I would find a spot in the back of the pickup truck. If you can imagine this truck with furniture and other stuff, and there are nooks and crannies because of the way that plays out, and we would all find a spot in a nook and cranny, and it was the coolest adventure in the world to drive up 81, and we would stop, my dad would stop in Okarche there was a little, like a Tasty Freeze or some, malt shop, and we'd stop there and we'd jump out and stretch, and we were allowed to get a little something, and then we'd stop in Hennessy and do the same thing, and then make it to Enid and unload, and then go back and do it again. And it just, I don't know why, but it's a big memory.
When the family settled in Enid, Joan got a job as a registered dietitian at a local hospital, and for a while, this was the family's only income.
She was very convicted about, what she should do and what we should do, and this partnership with my dad, and meticulous about details and getting everything right all the time. And she was very confident about it. And we'd go on ski trips, and we couldn't afford to do what most people did, which was, buy food on the mountain or go out for a burger or whatever. She would pack an entire 7 days of food that she would prepare on the hot pot in the hotel room. I mean, it was, now we didn't think much about it because she just always did it. But now I understand what was involved in doing that and why she did it. But she was so good at that stuff, and she was so confident about, that's the way we're going to do this, because that's how it all worked.
Starting a new business continued to be a struggle, but with hard work and Paul's determination, Advanced Food Company thrived.
Okay, so a couple of stories that exemplify his work ethic, his energy level, and his drive and determination. In the early years, and I'm going to say maybe in about 1982, when Advance had maybe 50 employees. He wasn't just president. My dad cleaned out the freezer, my dad loaded the trucks, my dad probably took out the trash. My dad was doing everything. He was in charge of purchasing all of the materials. So many times he would have appointments where salespeople would be calling on him from a purchasing standpoint, or a banker would come, or a lawyer would come. And the story goes that my dad got there early in the morning before anybody, as normal. He was in the freezer, straightening up the inventory, getting the trucks prepared to load for the day. But you wore these big coveralls, right? And hats and gloves, and Dad had gotten there so early that he hadn't shaved that day, and because he kept a lot of his toiletries at the plant anyway, because he was there so much of the time. So story has it that his appointment was at 8 o'clock, so at 7:30 he got out of the freezer, took off all of the garb he was wearing, put on more respectable clothes, and went into his office and had his electric razor and was shaving when the assistant came in and said, "Paul, I just want you to know that your 9 o'clock appointment has canceled and he won't be coming." And Dad said, "Oh, okay, great." And he put down the electric razor, took off his clothes, got the other out, and went the rest of the day with half of his face shaved and the other half wasn't.
On the night of December 9th, 1978, the Allen family would change forever. David Allen was a freshman at Trinity University in San Antonio, Texas. Driving back with two friends from Oklahoma, their car was hit from behind by a vehicle witnesses said was traveling about 100 miles per hour. David has sustained severe brain injuries, and the doctors didn't offer much hope.
And he couldn't do anything. I mean, nothing. He would sit at a table and he'd try to get water out of his glass with a fork or a knife or something like that, But 13 years later, he did get a 2-year degree from Colorado Mountain College in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and Joan was his partner 24/7, 365.
He became a fabulous, well-rounded perfectly functioning human being again.
David then went on to work as a cost accountant in the family business. But in 1995, after suffering seizures for several years due to his injury, David died in his sleep of natural causes.
It was the year after my brother had died that that they first got the idea to build a baseball park in his name.
This was Joan's deal. She wanted to have some kind of a legacy that would say David Allen would be there forever.
The David Allen baseball field has been a very big part of the Enid community since 1995. It has become a central part of the downtown area, and it has been a driver for a lot of economic activity. Over the years, hundreds of baseball games are played on it each year, and that has been very gratifying and satisfying for my parents.
As the success of the company grew, the Allen family had the opportunity to give back to the community.
During the course of 1973 to 2010, and those 37 years, the city of Enid and the people of Enid very much supported Advance and allowed for our success.
That support allowed Advance to create over 1,600 jobs in Enid, the first company child care facility of its kind in Oklahoma, and a healthcare clinic for its employees.
My mother became very involved with a lot of community activities way before the year 2000. And then later on, when Dad had a little bit more time, he certainly became more involved with whether it was the YMCA or serving on bank boards or the symphony orchestra where my mom was a champion for many years, or the United Way or the Junior League. So those were a lot of associations where my parents gave both financially and they also gave their expertise.
The Allen Family Foundation was created by Joan and Paul Allen, Jennifer and Mark Allen, and Elizabeth and Greg Allen. The foundation supports the growth and development of individuals and communities in the United States. Our mission is to support organizations that have a track record of success in education, rehabilitation, or development to help individuals transform their lives and contribute to the larger community and society.
We just announced this a $2 million grant that so that every year that Enid High School, Chisholm, OBA, the surrounding high schools, graduates who are the first ones in their family to attend college can apply for a scholarship. We had some remarkable applications this year. We did award 4 scholarships, and these are 4-year scholarships, and it was very fulfilling.
I mean, we know that we were really fortunate in that. We were fortunate in the market, we were fortunate with the community of Enid, we were fortunate in all these different ways, and that's, again, one of the reasons why the foundation exists, because it's not that it's not fair that we were the ones that were fortunate, but we were fortunate, and so we want to help other people with their fortunes as well. I mean, that's really what it's about.
If you ask any of our kids what one of our family themes is Greg once said to them, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. We both came from parents that had an incredible, exceptional work ethic and also were really humble. That phrase also applies to the really good things too. And that's where the foundation came a little bit from too. It's not what happened to us, it's not just what we earned, it's not how we were born, it's that it happened and we're in this situation and it's what we're going to do about it.
I think our parents had a very strong foundation or a very strong sense of right and wrong, and they instilled that into us at an early age, fortunately. What are the things that mean the most to you that your parents stand for? Honesty, integrity, hard work, passion, and a selflessness.
I thought the kids, just looking at them now, from now to clear back then, they were all successes. And 100% of that success was due to Joan. She just did a great job raising them. We've been blessed with good kids. If their descendants on down the line will just match them, that's about all I could ask. If the granddaughters and the daughters and everybody would do their best to emulate her, that would be perfect.